Good evening. I'm Harry Saltzgaver, the executive editor of the Grunion Gazette, representing the Gazette, the Press Telegram, and all my colleagues from across the Southern California News Group.
And I'm Stephanie Rivera, community engagement editor with the Long Beach Post and the Long Beach Business Journal. We're proud to be partnering with other Long Beach publications to sponsor these live political forums during this very significant election season. In just a moment, we'll start our debate between the candidates for the Long Beach City College District Board of Trustees seat for Area 4. But first, we're going to go over the ground rules for this evening. This event is streaming live online across the websites and social media channels of our respective publications, and you will be able to watch these rebroadcasts online afterwards.
The candidates understand their microphones and cameras are on continuously throughout this broadcast. The candidates will be asked to provide an opening statement before we jump into our questions. These questions that come from our reporters, our editors, and voters in the community. Questions are known only to the two of us and have not been shared with the candidates or campaigns in advance.
Each candidate will be allowed 1 minute opening and closing statements. Each candidate will be allowed 1 minute to respond to each question. If candidates request a rebuttal or a moderator asks a follow-up question, responses will be limited to 1 minute. We'll rotate who goes first and second and third among the three candidates. We conducted a blind number draw to determine the opening order. And with that, we'd like to introduce you and welcome our candidates for LBCC Area 4, Dick Gaylord, Herlinda, Chico, and Lee Loveridge. And Herlinda, you pulled first from the draw, so we'll start with opening statements with you, followed by Dick and Lee. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you all for hosting this candidates forum. I'm Herlinda Chico, and I'm a candidate for Long Beach Community College District Area 4. I'm running to ensure that Long Beach City College continues to be an accessible and affordable option for all students. I've worked closely with Long Beach City College for several years on a variety of issues, focusing on helping our students, including serving on committees and advising on students' basic needs. In my capacity working for LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn, I currently represent the communities in Area 4, East Long Beach, Signal Hill, and Avalon on Catalina Island. And I'm proud to have the support of all three mayors of these cities. I'm a third-generation public servant, and my life's work has been to help the community. But at the end of the day, this is about our students, and I've earned their trust.
Seconds.
I'm so proud to have so many students engaged in my campaign, including student leadership. If this is truly about the students, let's empower their voice and support their choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Dick?
I want to thank the sponsors, Herlinda, Lee, and all of you who have tuned in this evening. I'm Dick Gaylord, and I've been involved at the college for more than 20 years. When I heard that the community felt that we needed better and new facilities at the college, I volunteered to work on the bond measure, so I made telephone calls. I learned two things from these calls. Most people had some connection to Long Beach City College, be it past or present, and most of them had wonderful things to say about their experiences with the college. Long Beach Community College is loved in this community. I'm convinced that during these challenging times, the college can be the engine for our area's economic recovery. We can make it happen by bringing the trustees, the faculty, the staff, the students, and the community together to determine how we move forward. This would only ensure that the college is the community college. It would also help us understand the community needs.
Lee?
Right. Hi. Thank you to everyone that is here. Thank you, Herlinda, Dick, moderators. My name is Lee Loveridge. I am a Long Beach boy, born and raised here, attended several schools in Long Beach Unified. I'm a Long Beach Poly grad, and I've been involved at Long Beach City College all of my life. I went there for preschool. I think I'm something of a legend as the guy that crushed off his fingertip. I learned to swim there, and I've taken many college classes there. I've been a teacher for the last 20 years, and that's included time teaching at Long Beach Poly and a year teaching at Long Beach City. I believe that there's value in having someone who's had the experience of being a teacher in the classroom, working with these students, who knows the day-to-day struggle of both the teachers and the students, who are the main
15
part
seconds.
of the school. And I believe that with that experience, as well as my administrative experience as a department chair, I can offer great leadership on the Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Now let's get into the questions. Mr. Gaylord, you start with the first answer. It is Long Beach City College's mission to prepare students to be successful in the 21st century. Unfortunately, some students arrive at college with greater disadvantages academically. In some cases, because they lack reliable technology or childcare or face food or housing insecurity. Should the college's commitment to help students succeed include leveling the playing field by prioritizing resources that can help close these gaps? Mr. Gaylord, 1 minute.
Absolutely. We're doing a lot of that already. We can do more. We have a great math learning center. We have a multi-service center. We have a cranium cafe. We have a basic needs program, which in the fall had requests from 1,600 students who needed help. We can do more, and we're going to have to do more when we resume classes at the college.
Thank you. Mr. Loveridge.
I'm going to echo what he said. I think that absolutely we need to prioritize our resources to the people who are in most need. That doesn't mean that we aren't available to students who come already with all of the skills and technology that they have, but that we make sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate, that everyone has the technology we need now to participate virtually, that everyone is able to be safe and well fed. I've participated in a number of different food drives over the summer, including cooperating with both of our local colleges and their food banks.
Thank you. Ms. Chico.
So we've known that there's been a digital divide for some time, but I think COVID-19 really exacerbated the problem. We got to see the disparities in access to technology for our students. So one of the things that I'd like to do is look at the Long Beach College Promise through a racial equity lens. That will allow us the opportunity to see the social barriers before students get to the college. So we understand what the needs are. Another example of where we can use technology if we invest in it and have a strong plan and infrastructure is Catalina Island. The students there are part of LBUSD K through 12 school, and they're part of the Long Beach College Promise. But unless they move to the mainland, it's difficult for them to attend college at LBCC. So perhaps a virtual satellite campus on Catalina Island. That's something that I've been talking about for the last few years. And hopefully that's something that we can really seize this opportunity and create.
Thank you. Stephanie.
Next question. Do you have experience working with a contentious board where conflict is the rule instead of the exception? How do you envision your role on the LBCC board, which has had some very public disagreement? And I believe we'll start with Lee.
Well, thank you. I haven't been on a board of directors before, or board of trustees. I have worked with contentious people. I've worked with cases where we have to negotiate and listen to all sides. I think if you ask people back at my school, when I was a department chair, I was known as someone who could listen and moderate between different sides. I don't happen to have endorsement from any of the current factions, which makes me fairly independent if I were to join the board. And I believe I would have the ability to listen to everybody's concerns and everybody's desires and be a moderating influence on that.
Okay. Herlinda?
So I've served on several boards, and you have different types of personalities, and you have to be focused on the goal, right? And so if you're focused on the goal, then you'll be able to work through some of those challenges. I've also worked in local government for 20 years now. I've I've had to work with constituents who were not happy, and always looking to find a solution to those challenges, even if they're upset. It's just something that you have to work through, because at the end of the day, we need to reach that goal. So different types of personalities, people that are upset, it's what I've been doing my entire career.
Thank you. And Dick?
Your question is really appropriate. I've been reading Inside Higher Ed, which talks about our rogue board of trustees. And it's not pleasant to read a national publication that doesn't place Long Beach City College in a good light, especially when we're going to be recruiting a president. I've never had a problem getting along with people. A board of directors of the National Association of Realtors of 800 people, at California, 750 people. I think we have to keep focused on the students. Every time a problem comes up, how are we relating to it so that it helps our students? I don't see there being a problem on the board if we follow the guidelines that the board has and if we stay focused on our mission, the students.
Okay. Let's kind of stay with this theme of contention for a moment. LBCC has a history of difficult employee and faculty relations. There are at least 3 unions on the campus. How involved do you want to be with union negotiations and why? Ms. Chico, I believe you start.
So, you know, the college is state mandated to work with all the stakeholders. It's shared governance. And so bringing everyone to the table when we are making critical decisions about the college is very important. I was a member of 2 unions that represented government employees. I worked on negotiations. I worked in hiring and unfortunately firing. And so it can be a very delicate situation, but I have the experience of what it's like to be on both sides of the table, negotiating and bringing people together to find a solution.
Thank you. Mr. Gaylord.
Our role in negotiations comes at the end. There are negotiators who sit down, union representatives, the college representatives, they come to some agreement or perhaps are unable to come to an agreement. That comes to us, and that's when we get involved. I want to say something about the employees of the college. 322 faculty members, 571 classified employees. During this pandemic, in 3 weeks, our faculty prepared to go virtual. They worked countless hours, unbelievable work. The classified employees, the same thing. When times were tough at the college, they cut their hours, they cut their pay. I have great respect for all the employees of the college. And I also have respect for the administration and that they can work out agreements and come to us with them.
Thank you. Mr. Loveridge.
Thank you. So this question is very near and dear to me because we were at an impasse with administration during the year that I was at Long Beach City, and that played a role in the fact that I didn't continue there. So to me, I think it's very important that the board be very clear that we are supportive of the faculty and the staff, that it be very clear that we understand that building facilities and grounds, all of those don't make a college. As candidate Gaylord has mentioned, the teachers were amazing in how they flipped their style of teaching and worked to provide for all the students. The staff have been amazing as well. And I want to say I'm grateful to the current board that has done a good job of providing the support that teachers needed to do that. So absolutely, I will be supportive of all of the unions, and I will push to make sure that we recognize that our employees are our most important and best asset.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Moving on. In the 2000s, promotion from within was a norm for LBCC administrative vacancies. The college seems to have gone away from that in the last decade. Why? And is that a good or bad? I believe we'll start with Dick.
Could you repeat the first part of that question? I had difficulty hearing you.
Yes, the college seems to have gone away from that in the last decade. Why? And why? And is that a good or bad thing? And that's regarding the promotion from within for the LBCC administrative vacancies.
I really haven't seen that nor heard much about that. And I am on the Personnel Commission. We have encouraged promotions from within. In fact, I said at the last meeting, I wish we could give current faithful employees some extra points in the process. That goes against the merit system, and we can't do that. But the college has incredible employees, and in the area of classified employees, we attempt to give them every opportunity to move ahead. For example, if an employee doesn't do well on an exam, we'll review the exam with them and tell them what they should work on before they try for another position next time.
Thank you. Lee?
So I haven't been privy to the board's decisions or the administration's decisions, but I know that there's real value in working from inside, hiring people that know what's going on, that understand the dynamic. But there's also value in reaching out to people from the outside who bring in new ideas and outside views. I think it's very important that as we work towards hiring a new president for the college, that we consider very seriously what the talents brought by people that are local and part of our community already are, as well as considering the talents that would be brought by someone from outside. What I think is most important is to look for someone who's looking to work cooperatively with us, with the teachers, and with all of the staff, so that we can really make Long Beach Community College, Long Beach City College, the best school around.
Thank you. Herlinda?
So we're so fortunate because we have such a diverse community. And I think it's important that when we're hiring people, one, I believe we should be promoting from within. I think we have outstanding faculty and staff, but they also know the community. They know our students, which is really critical because Long Beach has such a diverse community. Understanding that Long Beach is home to the largest Cambodian population outside of Southeast Asia is really important. Understanding that Long Beach has a huge LGBTQ community is critical. We need to be sensitive to the needs of our students and ensuring that we have staff that have been
15 seconds.
Instructing is the best way to address some of these promotions. We have the good, solid, high quality staff here, faculty
Thank
here.
you.
We
Your
just
time's
need to promote them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we'll begin with you, Lee. The Long Beach City College voted in June to review its $3.3 million contract with the Long Beach Police Department and possibly seek out alternatives to providing campus safety. While the current contract expires in September 2022, the board could terminate it earlier if it gives the department a 60-day notice. Where do you stand on such a decision, and how would you balance public safety while creating a welcoming environment for students from marginalized communities? Lee?
So we've seen very clearly over the last several years, although honestly, it's something that should have been clear for most of the last century, that too often police are not giving a fair shot to everyone. And I want to recognize that police have a very challenging job, and I am very grateful for the efforts they put into that. That said, I do think that it's important that we take a look at their role and make sure we are targeting their role only to the things that they are best at. Dealing with crime, dealing with people who present real threats. And I think it's important that as we do this, we provide other support services so that we can deal with something like the indigent man that's walking across campus by providing them with support and with care so that they know that this is a welcoming place to everyone, and we're going to make sure that everyone is supported as they need. So yes, I think we do need to review that contract. That doesn't
Thank you.
necessarily mean it will be canceled. Their role may be scaled back, and we may need to establish new other support services to help keep the campus safe and welcoming for everyone.
Thank you for, Ms. Chico.
We have a wonderful support system for our students in addressing their basic needs, their health and mental wellness. And it would be great to invest more in that. And I know that the board has asked to review the contract, and I support that. And we're entering a critical time right now in our history of social uprising and demands for systemic reforms. And that means that we'll have to adapt our community college as well. But I do want to make sure that any changes that are proposed are balanced. It's important to remember our shared governance that mandates that all stakeholders are at the table when we're making important decisions like this. I'm committed to being a strong voice within these systems to ensure that there's equity and equality for all. We can't afford to get this wrong. The stakes are too high. This trustee in this role will also, they'll have a role in updating the college district strategic plan coming up. And so I think that that's important to ensure that our new plan aligns with the current needs of students and faculty.
Thank you. Mr. Gaylord?
My understanding, Harry, is that contract is $3.8 million a year. Maybe it's something in between that. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm right. Whatever decision is made, and two of the trustees are currently studying this issue, has to be a decision that includes students, faculty, staff, and the neighborhood, the Lakewood Village area. 15 years ago, there were a lot of problems on campus. A guy was going to bomb one of the buildings. Women walking to their cars had difficulty. Lots of complaints from the folks in Lakewood Village. The security guards we had said they needed guns to do their job properly. They didn't have the credentials to carry guns. We went out and we had interest from both the sheriff and the police department. The board made a decision. I'm not sure what we do at this point. Obviously, with a 3/4 empty campus, we don't need a full-time police staff, but the decision has to be made by everyone affected by it.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask
something to that.
Yeah, let me ask a little bit of a follow-up question, so we'll have a chance here. Let's put our cards on the table. We're talking about defunding police forces, social and social services. And the community college is, as we know, a reflection of the community. So where do you stand on the concept of defunding police and putting more money into social services on the City College campus? Mr. Loveridge.
I absolutely support the idea of reducing police budgets at the same time that we reduce our expectations of them. We need to make sure that we right size their budgets, that we make sure that they have the budgets they do to do the things that police exclusively can do. But police are trained to be the ones that use force and that have the monopoly on that. And that is such a sacred responsibility that we have to be the position that holds them in check and understands that having the monopoly on force is absolutely a terrifying thing that has to be held in check and in accordance with the desires of the community. Every time a police officer harms someone or cares for someone, they do that in my name and your name. And so absolutely, we need to right-size police forces and make sure that their scope is targeted to what they can do and give other people the responsibility for other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chico.
So I'll go back to what I was going to add because it is relevant. Mr. Gaylord talked about community outreach with Lakewood Village. we have another campus as well, PCC, which is in central Long Beach, and that's brown and black people. And so it is very important that we have community input. I agree with Mr. Gaylord. We do need community input, but let's not forget central Long Beach. That's the community that is impacted the most by this. I think that it's really important to be very balanced. In my experience working with service providers that do homeless outreach, most of the time they will not go out without law enforcement with them. Our county public works department that has to go and clean the riverbed, even though there's 14 days notice, there's outreach to try to get people into services. There have been instances where they've been attacked.
Thank you. Mr. Gaylord.
I don't know of any incident that we've had over the approximate last 15 years, but I do think it's time to look at the contract. And I think there has to be some balance between social programs and the police department being a part of the campus or any type of a security force on the campus. Again, I think this is a decision that should involve students, faculty, staff, neighborhoods, and the police department who are currently serving at the college. I think we need data. What kind of incidents have occurred and how many and how often and what have the instances involved?
Thank you. Now we'll shift to enrollment. This next question we'll start with Herlinda. State support for community colleges depends on the number of students attending. Enrollment dropped considerably this fall as LBCC adapted to an almost all remote class and model. Potential students dealing with the pandemic may also have a hand in that drop. Is that an issue of concern, and how do you plan to deal with dropping enrollment? Herlinda?
Yeah, there's a few things that we can do, and it is a concern. You know, I think first we need to work together with our state representatives to push for additional CARES Act dollars. And we need to make sure that they're targeted and directed to classrooms and student support services. Second, I think we need to advocate for more equitable distribution of funds from the state. We have a community college system of 2.1 million students, and community college students receive less funding than Cal State University and UC students. And by and large, our community college students have greater needs. And so that requires more funding. But I'd also like to look at more non-credit courses, like the classes I help bring to Carmelito's housing development in North Long Beach. These career development and college preparation certificate programs are funded at a different rate and cost less. So it's a smart strategy. We can increase these courses, and hopefully that will boost student enrollment as well.
Thank you. Dick?
The current enrollment at the college is something over 19,000. A key number is 20,000 students. When you get additional money, you're considered a large institution. I think the trustees can play a role in recruitment. We have a number of neighborhood organizations, associations in the community. The trustees represent a certain part of the community. I think we should be visiting with each of those community organizations and telling them what the college has to offer and how a student enrolls, and that we do have financial aid and other assistance to students. I think we need to be ambassadors for the college in, number one, recruiting students, and number two, finding additional donors so that we have additional scholarship help and additional monies for technology and other equipment for our students.
Can
Thank
I
you.
add something to that?
Could we allow Mr. Loveridge to speak first?
Oh, I'm
please?
so sorry.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
Lee.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
Lee, go for it.
So I think that both of the other candidates have offered wonderful ideas. I think some other things that we need to remember is right now we are in crisis, and we're going to need to focus our budget priorities to managing that crisis. That means making sure that more people have the internet and the computer access that they need to be able to participate in our new online format. We need to make sure that we are giving appropriate training and skills to the professors to make sure that they are offering classes that are, if not as engaging and as valuable as the live face-to-face ones, at least approximated as closely as we can. And then we need to be ready and agile to recognize that when we open back up, whether it's next fall or the following spring, we need to be ready to offer larger amounts of classes than we have before, because it's not as if these people stopped
15
needing
seconds.
the schooling. So we need to be ready for that influx at some point.
Thank you. And Herlinda, you had your comment?
So I agree with Lee, but also, you know, there's work being done right now. I've been an ambassador to the college for quite some time, working with different community groups and organizations, those who work with formerly sex-trafficked young women, making sure that I made that connection to Long Beach City College, bringing classes into the community, like I did with Carmelito's housing development, working with our former foster youth. You know, the county has a very large foster care system, and so I've been able to connect these organizations that are working with these vulnerable populations to Long Beach City College. And so I'm very proud of that work. We do have to go into the community.
15
We have
seconds.
great resources once the students are at Long Beach City College, but what are we going to do to bring these students to Long Beach City College? And I have been doing that work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll let the candidates.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to have another say? Go for it, Dick.
Yes, we have had some help in regards to the CARES Act. The college got $14 million, $7 million was earmarked for students, and the other $7 million gave the college some flexibility in various programs it could use it for. We've only spent $2.5 million of our $7 million, so we still have some money there. And I think that just like the teachers prepared in 3 weeks for the change to virtual education, the teachers are on board to put in extra time to make sure that our students are happy, are getting a good education, and they are also are a valuable asset to us in attracting new students to the college. And with the teachers and classified employees, all we have to say is, we need help. You need to attend a neighborhood meeting with us. They'll
15
do
seconds.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee?
You know, I think we've heard some great ideas, and we need to keep pushing forward to keep implementing them. We need to make sure people get the classes. It's been a very great task to turn on a dime and learn a new way of teaching in 3 weeks. You don't become an expert in 3 weeks, no matter how amazingly hard you work at it. So I'm still learning how to deliver things online, and you can ask my students if I ever struggle with it or get frustrated, but it's a constant effort that we are all fighting for.
That is a perfect segue to the next question. We all hope and expect that someday we will no longer be dealing with this pandemic. And yet there are some things that are good about what's happening now in terms of trying new things and new ways to do things. What role will virtual or remote learning play at LBCC in the future? Mr. Gaylord, you go first.
As was mentioned earlier, we have students in Catalina who have difficulty coming and taking classes. Virtual education would be perfect there. I'm not sure whether you would agree with me or not, Lee, but I don't think education's ever going to be the same after this. If you look at higher education, for example, they're predicting that few colleges are going to operate as they did in the past, that folks are realizing that spending much less money by getting their education virtually might be an alternative. So I'm not sure where we're going, but I know it's not going to be the same. And I know we're going to continue to see much more virtual education. That's not going to be possible in
15 seconds.
Catering and in other programs, nursing programs, but it will be in a number of courses.
Thank you. Mr. Loveridge.
Thank you. So I agree that education is never going to go back to what it was before. And we're really at an amazing time that we were able to do this at all. If this had happened 10 years ago, the infrastructure to move online would not have been there and we would just be stuck. So I hope that as we move forward, we will take the best of both. Yes, for places like Catalina or other remote areas, absolutely, we want to make sure that we incorporate them virtually. I think we're going to absolutely have more virtual classes. It's been a wonderful resource in my department that two of our professors had already been offering maybe 20% of their courses virtually. So we had the expertise of someone who had already been at it and learning about it. So I think this is an opportunity to pivot and use this more. But at the same time, I hope we recognize that there is something invaluable about being there close with your professor, which is something that community colleges do better than any other higher education in the country, because we are there face to face. We know our students by name. Thank you.
Miss Chico.
So COVID-19 really did shine a light on the disparities that are out there. In fact, Long Beach City College conducted a survey a few months ago, and it estimates that 25% of students were using handheld devices to complete assignments. Like, that's unacceptable. I'm committed to advancing policies that expand access to higher education. We need a study to evaluate our technology infrastructure. We need to be able to invest in that, because even if we do go back to the classroom, and I can't wait till that happens, we still need to incorporate technology. We were forced into this position, and investing and assessing the way that we can do it, working with our faculty to create a curriculum that would work at Catalina Island. Like I said, I've been talking to those residents for 4 years now, and we were successful in bringing classes to North Long Beach. Those were huge, and we need to expand on that.
Thank you. Looks like Mr. Gaylord wants to go around again.
Thank you. Virtual education presents challenges other than technology. Some of our students don't have a quiet place to study and do their homework. Others don't have internet access. So we're going to have to provide a lot of things that we're not now having to provide. One suggestion I have is that we work with the city libraries insofar as students being able not to have to come to the campus for a quiet place to study, but being able to go to their neighborhood library. And I think there are a lot of options here. One of the things that happened a few years ago is, well, it was
15 seconds.
I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to elaborate, Mr. Loveridge?
Oh, only a little bit. I agree. You know, there are things, when we're able to use everything that we've learned during this pandemic, plus all of our resources, that's going to be a wonderful thing. We know that the role of libraries is changing. So we may have to reconfigure some of our libraries to have more study cubicles and fewer bookshelves. And that's okay. But they are such invaluable resources that I think Dick's onto something, that we want to join that together. We may want to establish virtual classrooms on Catalina where teachers can interact with students better than they can on a handheld, even if it's not quite the same as being there. So I think we have a wonderful opportunity to take the best of what we have now while restoring the best of what's missing.
Thank you. Ms. Chico. Yes.
So as a product of the California Community College system, I can tell you that we've been using libraries for a very long time. That has been a great source for many of us who needed a quiet space to work. And so I understand that most of our students, particularly in those marginalized communities, they've already found the libraries, and the city has done a fantastic job of ensuring that there are spots, that there's free Wi-Fi at parks and at libraries. That's critical. You know, I think that we also need to partner a little bit more with our community organizations. So during this pandemic, I advised the
15
college on
seconds.
several resources and programs that would benefit our students, connecting them with human IT, where there can be discounted hotspots and laptops. There are a lot of resources out in the community. We just have to connect those dots.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question.
And I appreciate that discussion on the infrastructure, which is just as important on that. Next question, in the short term, as in the spring semester, how should LBCC deal with the COVID protection, And what about the 2021-20 next school year? And then I believe we'll start with Lee on that. Okay.
I don't know what decision LBCC has made so far. I know that my school, Pierce College, has already decided that we will be online in spring. I think we're currently at the highest levels of infection, well, close to the highest levels of infection that we've ever been at. Europe is back into an exponential rise, even if not at the rate it was back in March. So we absolutely can't give up. That said, I think that a lot of effort has been going into developing vaccines. I'm signed up for a trial and get my test shot next Saturday. I believe that this is something that we're going to come out of, and I'm hopeful that we will be out of it, if not by summer, then by the following fall. I think we need to be ready and agile when we see signs that things are really changing. We need to be ready to go back for it. But at the same time, we need to be ready to maintain this defensive posture that we have now, because people are dying, and we simply can't allow that.
And then I want to follow up. You were mentioning that we shouldn't give up. Is that referring to the mandates that we have now and the health protocols we have in place?
Yes, we shouldn't give up the current mandates, as well as we need to be ready to return when it's safe.
Okay, thank you. I believe Herlinda.
So we don't have a whole lot of control over when we're going to move forward. We have to abide by what the state guidelines are. And it's a great deal to have a trustee like me who can adapt to the ever-changing state and county guidelines and city guidelines, because the city has its own health department. It's a great asset. I've had to work during this pandemic with many of my cities to look at ways to cover the costs, the tremendous losses that they've suffered. And so we need to be prepared, but we need to be fluid as well. Being able to maybe, like we did with K through 12, bring in the most vulnerable students on a limited basis, maybe something that we look at. But ultimately, we have to abide by the state's guidelines.
Thank you. And Dick?
We won't have classes on the campus except in a few areas during the spring semester. Hopefully, as Lee said, we will be back to something near normal by the fall. The college has very strict protocols in place now. It seems to me that they're even stricter than the state and the county protocols. But we are open as a campus. We have nursing students on campus. We have students in the culinary arts program on campus. So that seems to be going very well. I don't know that we've had any individuals testing positives who are in either of those programs. I have just a minute, and I want to talk about one of the things missing in a virtual campus. Dr. John Philpaugh, who was with the college for many years, says over and over again, one of the successes of the college was the extracurricular activities that students could be involved in. That's gone when we're a virtual campus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's turn a little bit differently here. One of the missions of community colleges traditionally has been prep or remedial courses to prepare for a four-year university. How much emphasis should be placed on that at City College? And I believe, Herlinda, we start with you.
So I touched on that a little bit earlier. It's really important to increase the number of no-cost classes that we're offering. One, it brings classes into the community, which eliminates many of the social barriers that prevent people from attending Long Beach City College. Transportation, childcare, those things are really important and sometimes prevent people from attending college. And of course, the financial barrier. And so no cost is a great way. It starts that certificate program, so it immediately empowers the student with work skills, right? And helps in the workforce. But also it could transition a student from a certificate program to see the value in attending Long Beach City College as a full-time student. That would increase enrollment, but sometimes there are people that need to get their feet wet a little bit, and that's a wonderful way to
Time's up.
Was it time's up? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Sorry.
Didn't hear the
we missed
15
it.
seconds, sorry.
All right, go ahead. Finish your thought. We didn't give you a warning.
So I just think that it's important that we have them, because it is a launch pad to AA degree and hopefully
Okay.
transferring to a four-year university.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gaylord.
I believe state law does not permit us to offer remedial courses at City College. That's why we have the Math Learning Center, and we have other kinds of ways of helping students. But that lets me seg into the success rate. 74% of our students who are white and Asian complete their program. Those of color, only 55% complete their program. 86% of our student body are students of color, and we can't continue to blame the students for not performing. This is where equity comes in. We have to start understanding their background and where they're coming from. We have to look at our hiring, our curriculum, and our evaluation processes. And we're doing that. Our faculty, 100 of them have already been trained in this or working on being trained.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Loveridge.
First off, to answer the question of how much of an emphasis should the remedial be, I think it should be a fairly strong emphasis. It can't be our only emphasis, because we have a responsibility to every member of our community. We have a responsibility to offer continuing education courses. We have a responsibility to offer college preparatory courses. We have a responsibility to offer lower division courses. That said, one thing that we've learned at my school is that we have this tendency as professors to want to make every step as easy as possible and add as many different courses as possible. And the problem with that is that while it increases the likelihood that they complete one course, it actually decreases their likelihood of completing a program. So we need to work and make sure we're focused on really valuable high-intensity courses that will change the students' lives. Not something they can't succeed at, but to make sure that we are putting in lots of supports so that we can get them quickly from the level they're at, ready to participate in college-level courses.
Thank you. Next question.
We'll talk about training in a different sense and workforce. Next question, I believe we'll start with Dick. LBCC long has been relied upon to train and retrain workforce for specific industries. Remember when training aircraft mechanics was a big deal? What industries should the LBCC curriculum prepare to assist going forward?
Good question. It's supposed to happen once a year, and it doesn't always happen regularly, but the faculty and the administration sit down and they include community organizations and companies, and they talk about needs and where we go from here. Some years ago, we just did a lot of cutting, and I'll give you a perfect example. A friend of mine's son is going to be a welder. I was all excited that he'd be coming to Long Beach City College. He's not. He's going to Orange Coast College. The reason? We offer a couple of courses in welding, but we've cut out the certificate program, the full 2-year program. I think it's time for us now, especially during the changing economy, to work with the community and to find out where there
15
are
seconds.
needs for education and where there are jobs.
So just to follow up, you're saying one of the industries that we should prepare for is welding.
That's correct.
Got it. Lee?
All right, so I'm sure that if I try to give you a definitive answer of what's needed right now, I'm going to get it wrong because I'm not the greatest expert. I can tell you things that I think we need. Things we do wonderfully on are nursing, culinary, which are absolutely things that are needed right now, HVAC. But I think also we need to make sure we're continuing to train people for basic computer administration, basic computer skills, training people for construction, and all the different jobs that make a difference in how our society works. And I think it was a horrible loss when we did so much cutting. And
15 seconds.
I hope we can review that and make sure that we don't continue to cut valuable, profitable programs.
Thank you. Herlinda?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I would absolutely protect our vocational and our apprenticeship programs. I know last time we were in a budget crisis, those were the first to get cut. Faculty did a wonderful job with redesigning the curriculum to fit with today's student, which I think is one of the reasons why they're so popular. But also we need to understand that there have been a lot of job losses and businesses that have closed. So we need to be prepared for a possible increase of people who are looking to re-enter the workforce and to learn a new skill. If our economy is to get back on track, we need a robust and skilled workforce, and Long Beach City College is going to play a critical role in that. So we can't eliminate any of those classes. I support keeping them.
I'm sorry, but I think we've got time for one more question and then closing comments. So let me get to this last question, mainly because it's something near and dear to my heart. The College Promise. College Promise has included free tuition for 1 year. Now it's 2 years of free tuition at City College. Can that promise be sustained in the coming recession? And if so, how? And Mr. Loveridge, it's to you.
Well, I guess my answer to that is I sure hope so. You know, that makes a difference for my children. I have two recent high school graduates in my household, as well as one that's a junior. And I think this makes a really big difference. I think we're going to have to look hard at our budgets. We're going to have to think about what things can we lessen. We've got fewer security needs. We've got fewer upkeep needs right now. That will change when we return to more normal life. But I think we also just need to think hard about digging into reserves and understanding that this is a time when people are in most need. And when people are in the most need is a time when government services, which in a way we are,
15 seconds.
Really need to step it up and provide so that we can come out of the recession. It would be silly to save money in a way that only prolongs the recession.
Thank you. Ms. Chico.
Long Beach set the standard and the state followed suit. So if Long Beach is not sustainable, that means that the state wouldn't be sustainable. And I don't think that we're going to move in that direction. But I think locally, what we can do is maintain the fiscal responsibility that has been done thus far. But we also have to plan for financial stability. You know, this is going to require effective oversight and careful planning that produces a realistic assessment of things like opportunities for grants and financial aid. We need to evaluate the funding streams. There are several ways for us to ensure that we prioritize student success.
15 seconds.
like I mentioned before, looking at a more equitable funding stream with the state. These are steps that needed to be taken a long time
Okay.
ago, and we need to
Thank you.
move forward with that now.
Thank you, Mr. Gaylord.
When we prioritize, I certainly hope the College Promise is going to be way up there on top. Again, it involves students. The thing we need to do with the College Promise program is get more students in it who really need it. The students I talked about, the non-white, non-Asians, we need to get more of them into the program. As far as financing, you know, we've really been doing a great job of budgeting at the college. We budgeted a deficit for the fiscal year that ended a few months back, a loss of $3 million. We ended the fiscal year with $3 million to the good. So we can budget such that this program is included. I certainly would fight for that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. And that concludes our questions. We're going to go now to closing statements. And I believe we're up to, I think Herlinda is going to be the one that starts, and then we'll continue from there. Herlinda?
Great. Well, you know, I love Long Beach, and I love Long Beach City College. And I'm really proud of the work that I've done over the last several years to connect hard to reach communities to higher education by bringing LBCC classes into the community and bringing the community to Long Beach City College. I'm sure my opponents care about students, I've no doubt, but I'm the only candidate who is currently doing the work in the community. I have a proven track record of helping students succeed at Long Beach City College and advising the college about resources and partnerships that are available to enhance the services that we provide to our students. My 2 decades of working in local government provide me with the knowledge and experience in public policy and budgeting public funds. The Long Beach City College is a public institution. It's not a business and should not be run like
15
one.
seconds.
We have a real opportunity to bring new ideas and fresh perspectives from someone who has the experience and leadership to get it done. Look at my record in the community. I'm a trusted public servant, and I'd be honored to have your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dick?
Thank you. Again, thanks to everybody who made this evening possible. I want to let you all know that I'm not running for this position to lead into another public office. I'm running because I love the college and I want the best for every one of our students. I ask that when you cast your vote in this nonpartisan race, you join former mayor and former LBCC president Beverly O'Neill, so many members of the faculty and the staff, council members Susie Price and Daryl Supernow, former supervisor Don Kanabe, and Vice President of Long Beach Unified, John Meyer, in supporting me. These folks are supporting me for one reason. They know my dedication and hard work to Long Beach City College. I ask for your support, and in return, I will always be available to you to talk about making LBCC better.
Thank you. Lee?
I want to thank everyone. I want to thank my 2 opponents. I don't think I could ask for 2 more wonderful, more dedicated opponents. And I think that you, the people of Long Beach, have a wonderful opportunity to get a win-win-win election. That said, I'm running for this because I want to serve my community. I've been a member of the LBCC community. I've been disappointed by things that I think could really be improved when there have been toxic relationships. I think I can make a real difference in making sure that the board runs smoothly, making sure that the relationship between the board, the administration, and the faculty runs smoothly. And I am grateful for any and all who will offer me their support. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. We really appreciate your participation, and our community is better for public participation, and you show that with your passion. I want to thank all of the folks who made this all possible. Long Beach Post, Long Beach Business Journal, Press Telegram. And most of all, I want to thank the people who are watching this. It's important to be informed, and I'm glad that you're with us. Stephanie?
Just a reminder, this is the last debate. We have 5 more before us. And if you want to stay tuned and be engaged, go to our respective platforms to be an educated voter. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.